My friends and I had been planning this camping trip for weeks. There's a beautiful forest in Wyoming that the students of my college visit every summer. This year, it was my friend group's turn to camp there. It was June, and my friends and I were getting ready for our trip. My group consisted of 6 people: Lucas, John, Cass, Cole, Paige, and myself. The forest is called Dusty Willow Grove. It's famous for the same reason the students of my college go there. The forest was part of the Pony Express Trail. However, that's not the sole reason behind its popularity. In the winter of 1860, a man named Gordon Bentley was riding through those woods. He joined the Pony Express so that he could support his recently widowed mother. Unfortunately, Gordon never made it to San Francisco. When the authorities started looking for him, all they found was his hat near a lake. That lake was in Dusty Willow Grove. No one knows what happened to Gordon or his horse. If you're in Dusty Willow Grove at night, you can hear the sound of a horse galloping through the woods. Those who believe in ghosts say it's the spirit of Gordon Bentley. My friends and I never believed in that stuff. We just wanted to unwind after a grueling semester. Anyway, my friends and I left for Dusty Willow Grove. Paige drove us to our camping spot in the forest, which was very close to where the Pony Express Trail was. After setting up our camp, we celebrated the beginning of summer with some beer. We were 19 each at the time, but hey, some people do wild things, even in college. It was getting dark, and my friends and I were waiting for the Gallops. But after a few hours, we got bored and decided to go to sleep. I don't know what time this happened, but I suddenly woke up in the middle of the night. I must have drunk more than I thought because I needed to pee. I'm one of those people who can't urinate when someone's watching. So to avoid getting caught, I walked away from the camp until it was out of sight. I stopped at some bushes next to a lake. I just pulled my shorts up when I heard something. I moved my flashlight around until I saw something heading towards me. It was a man riding a horse. I called out to the guy, but he didn't react to me. The rider was wearing old-fashioned clothing, and both he and his horse were covered in snow. He was squinting his eyes and looking around as if he had difficulty seeing. I was perplexed. How could someone be covered in snow in the summer? The man was riding his horse towards the lake, and I tried to stop him. But when I touched his leg, my hand phased through him. The horse stepped onto the water and continued walking as if it were land. The steed walked on the surface until it suddenly stopped. I then heard what sounded like ice breaking before the horse and rider suddenly fell into the water. The man's hat flew off its head before landing on the ground near the lake. I just stood there, trying to process what had just happened, and when it finally hit me, I screamed. My friends heard me and ran to me as fast as they could. When they asked me what happened, I told them everything. When I pointed at the rider's hat, it was gone. My friends thought that the alcohol was making me see things and escorted me back to our camp. When the camping trip was over and we headed back to our respective homes, I finally figured out what happened that night. The snow-covered man I saw was Gordon Bentley's ghost. I've heard of spirits of the deceased who repeat their final moments alive. What I saw that night must have been how Gordon died. I emailed my history professor and told him my story and my theory. When the professor emailed me back, he told me something that further confirmed my suspicions. It turned out that during Gordon's trip to San Francisco, Dusty Willow Grove was hit by a blizzard one night. This had to have been around the time Gordon reached that forest. The heavy snowfall must have made it difficult for him to navigate, and based on what I've seen, Gordon accidentally steered his horse to the then frozen lake. The ice then broke, and both died in the freezing water. I told my friends and classmates about the lake and how Gordon Bentley died. I don't know who, but one of my classmates was friends with a police officer. When they heard my story, they'd asked said officer to investigate the lake. The police had someone dive into that lake, and, sure enough, they found the skeletal remains of a man and a horse. Gordon and his horse's remains were recovered and given proper burials. It's been a year since then, and the Gallops were never heard again. Not everyone believed me when I said that I saw Gordon Bentley's ghost, but at least I can take comfort in knowing that he's reunited with his mother.